Okay, you can begin.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Presentation 1 on Chapter 4, Understanding Yourself. Our group members are myself, Crystal Ramsuk, Shireen Rupnarain, and Celicia Salvery. Being aware of how you prefer to think, relate, and learn, and to find personal meaning is an important self-awareness skill. Being able to articulate what you believe and what you value helps you understand your own motivations and behaviors. Knowing your strengths and weaknesses help you grow and relate to others with authenticity and credibility. Leadership happens in the context of interpersonal relationships. Self understanding is essential to authenticity in those relationships. And the most basic life trait that translates to leadership effectiveness is honest, authentic self awareness that is open to growth, learning, and change. This chapter helps us to think of the things about ourselves that shape our personal identity and fuel our motivations. It explores the role of self awareness in leadership, of self concept and self esteem. Our personality preferences for how we approach decisions and how we learn are also going to be addressed. Kevin Paniker stated that it is of great importance to recognize one's strengths and weaknesses because only then one can realize one's capability and limitations. Recognizing capacity allows leaders to commit themselves in such a way as to utilize their capability, and recognizing limitations allows for humility and the acknowledgement that leaders cannot succeed at everything. We will now look at development of self for leadership. Four lessons that Bennis 1989 asks us to observe are: you are not your own best teacher. Your own best teacher, that we need to accept responsibility and blame no one, that we can learn anything that we want to learn, and the true understanding comes from reflection on our experiences. Counselors, advisors, friends, family, they can help with us learning about ourselves, but true awareness requires us to study our own self. Leadership means self-discovery is getting better yield out of our attributes. And this was stated by Haas and Tamarkin. We need to learn to set goals and motivate ourselves to meet them, to feel personally responsible if we do not meet them. It is hard for some people to translate the life skills of self-control and internal motivation into guides of actions as members of a group. If you often sit in a meeting and you think to yourself, this is not my responsibility and I will just let the leader do it, that after all, it is their job to do it, then we really need to develop more self-leadership skills. We now move on to strengths and weaknesses in developing of self for leadership. Each person brings a different mix of strengths and weaknesses to any situation. Some of our strengths, if overemphasized, can become our weaknesses. And the things that we consider weaknesses may actually be seen as strengths by others. I may be a strong critical thinker who can readily find flaws in logic, and that can be a terrific strength in helping my group prepare and present its position on a topic. Or it can be seen as negative and blocking if someone is presenting an idea to me and I just naturally begin to be critical instead of trying to connect and listen. Another way would be to be humble and quiet may mean your opinion is never heard and your voice is left out of decision making. But it can also mean that you are a keen listener who is very in tune to other people's thoughts. Leadership awareness grows when you can identify your personal strengths and weaknesses in working with others towards change. Clifton and Nelson in 1992 recommend that we find strengths by listening to ourselves when we have done something well, even if no one has noticed, identifying the satisfaction you feel when you know something you did was terrific and gives you a feeling of well-being, knowing what things you find easy to learn quickly and organizing, such as organizing your lab reports, talking to strangers, mastering new computer technology, or reading patiently to a small child, because not everyone can learn the way that you may learn. They also state that you can study your successes for clues of excellence and for things that you do very well, whether it's giving a speech or helping someone feel very special. By examining whatever your success has been, you will discover what you can do well. They also state that you can think about your patterns of excellence. And when you practice a skill and you feel it improve each time you do it, you know that you're doing better at it. Clues to your strengths are all around you, and identifying and labeling them can affirm your confidence and self-esteem. Sometimes it is hard to identify our strengths, but listen for the times you say, I feel like I've accomplished something great when I do that. We now move on to developing your talent by looking at your strengths and weaknesses. One of our greatest assets as human beings is talent, stated by Buckingham and Clifton in 2001. Knowing yourself well includes knowing your talents and the things that you are naturally good at. Focusing on and maybe even obsessing about our weaknesses and trying to fix our weaknesses takes away from our ability to lead and work from our talents and strengths. Effective leaders know what they do best and apply their strengths in all aspects of their lives. This does not mean that you should ignore your weaknesses, but you instead should be aware of those things that you do not do well and find ways to manage them so that you can be more productive and more fulfilled. One strategy of managing your weakness is to surround yourself with others who have talents that are different from yours and are needed to successfully achieve results or accomplish change. And if you manage your weakness rather than trying to fix them, you will have more time to focus on your strengths. Not all the time, everyone in a group will be able to have all of the same strengths. I may be an effective speaker and somebody else may be able to put the work together. They might be able to, put the PowerPoint presentation together. So being able to work together to get our job done, you need to focus on what is your strength in a group and you'll be able to work with others more effectively. And that is an effective way of leading. Buckingham and Clifton in 2001 proposed two assumptions that can guide you in leadership. Each person's talents are enduring and unique, and each person's greatest room for growth is in the areas of his or her greatest strengths. Too often, we believe that our best strategy to grow and develop is to improve our weakness. Buckingham and Clifton observe that the real tragedy of life is not that each of us doesn't have enough strengths. It is that we fail to use the ones that we have. Strength is defined as consistent and near perfect performance in any activity. Buckingham and Clifton define talent as your naturally recurring patterns of thought, feeling, or behavior. Leading from a philosophy of talents and strengths is an outgrowth of an emerging new field called positive psychology. And this field of psychology moves away from finding what is wrong in a person and paying attention to what is right in each person. So leading from this framework, they will energize you and others in a positive way and open up more possibilities to allow you and others to do what you do best. Looking at the Don's theory of the dipper and bucket by Rath and Clifton 2004, we see that everyone has something like an invisible bucket that can get filled or empty on a regular basis by an invisible dipper. When your bucket is full, you feel positive, and the dipper is a powerful tool in leadership, allowing us to fill another's bucket by saying positive things and focusing on what that person is good at. You can also use the dipper to dip from someone's bucket, making that person feel diminished. Your sense of self-esteem is enhanced when you use the dipper to fill someone's bucket. Most of us, we feel better when we do something good or when we make someone's day a better day. And this is what this analogy is like. So when you fill your own bucket and others, you are affirming your own and others' strengths and talents. Think about what you do best and then think about how you felt when you received recognition for a job well done. You were probably motivated to continue doing what you did because you were good at it and you enjoyed doing it. When someone filled your bucket, it probably made you feel good about yourself. And organizational research has shown that when you have opportunities to do what you are best at doing and when you are recognized for that, you will experience more meaning and satisfaction in what you are doing, and your productivity will increase as a result. This was done by Buckingham and Clifton in 2001. Leading from your talents and strengths will keep your bucket filled. We now move on to managing our weaknesses. All of us can learn to manage our weakness so that our strengths can be free to develop and become so powerful that they make our weaknesses irrelevant. A person can either manage weaknesses so that they do not repress other strengths or overcome them and turn them into strengths. Tom Cruise, Orlando Bloom, Keanu Reeves, Whoopi Goldberg, Thomas Edison, Albert Einstein, they all suffered with dyslexia, and they may have struggled to be quick readers or accurate spellers, but all of them learned to manage those weaknesses and found ways to prevent them from blocking their strengths. Helen Keller could not see, hear, or speak, but she learned to communicate remarkably well. Whatever their weaknesses, all these gifted people learned to manage weaknesses so that it did not hold back their strengths. We need to focus on our strengths and develop our talents. Some weaknesses, however, may be problematic because they may cause us to not function properly. And these are the weaknesses that we should tackle directly. For example, we may not be able to speak well in front of a group, but we can, however, manage this weakness by learning how to make a presentation more comfortable for us, like using overhead transparencies or handouts, or encouraging group interaction. Assessing our strengths and weaknesses is critical to self-awareness, stated by Conga and Benjamin in 1999 and Lee and King 2001. How we now move on to esteem and confidence. How we think and feel about ourselves is the energy that fuels our motivation. Self-concept is how we objectively describe ourselves, used usually, and it is based on rules and attributes. Self-esteem is the subjective element of how we feel about ourselves. And self-awareness would lead to having an accurate self-concept. Honoring our strengths and addressing our weaknesses are essential first steps towards higher self-esteem. Self-esteem is enhanced if we can identify our strengths and weaknesses and we know what we are growing and progressing in the areas that we want to improve in. High self-esteem is a result of valuing our self-concept, and low self-esteem may mean that we expect something better or different from how we feel. Self-confidence is the ability to know that we can rely on our strengths, competencies, and skills in the many contexts in which we find ourselves. Some people consistently do well in whatever they do, but they are never sure that they can do well and therefore have low self-confidence. Accepting ourselves is perhaps one of the hardest life tasks, and realizing that we cannot change some things about ourselves is a step towards higher self-esteem. We may not be able to change physical attributes about ourselves, like our height, but we can learn new skills and add to our knowledge base. In some aspects of ourselves, there are negative influences on our self-esteem, and we must differentiate between those that we can actually do something about and those that we just need to think differently about, which can lead to a higher level of self-acceptance. Perceiving things differently is called cognitive reframing, which is a different way of thinking. We have, you may have felt bad when thinking about your personality as shy and quiet, but you may find yourself feeling empowered to frame those same characteristics as thoughtful and reflective. I will now pass you on to Miss Salvery, who will be dealing with understanding yourself. Felicia.
Celicia, you have to unmute your mic if you're speaking.
So I'm guessing that she's having some issues with her mic. So we will just move on with her part. Understanding yourself. What makes you who you are? Think about the things that make you that person. Many have debated whether nature or nurture is attributed to human behavior, but they both play important roles in helping us understand ourselves. Becoming aware of the influence of either nurture or nature in your own development is essential to understanding yourself. For example, you may be tall and may have learned that some people find you imposing. They assume you will be outgoing and aggressive, even though you are quiet and shy. You cannot always change the way others view you because they bring their own biases and attributions. You can at least be authentic as you try to be the person you would like to be. We cannot always change a person's perspective of us because of their own opinion they bring to the table. The least we can do is strive to be authentic. Discussing your self-awareness is a form of the psychological study of individuality. If you feel uncomfortable with the concept of individuality, it could be because describing personal perception or behavior in categories or types make you feel boxed in or stereotyped. Another reason you may feel uncomfortable is because focusing on your own needs or on yourself is considered selfish or inappropriate in your family or culture. We hope that you will instead welcome the opportunity for personal insight by reviewing the ways scholars understand the ranges of human behavior. By knowing how others respond, you can assess how their response is like or unlike your own. For example, if you have had a death in your family or the loss of someone you love, you may find comfort in knowing that there are predictable stages in the grief process for many people, which can be denial, anger, bargaining, depression, and acceptance. And your reactions are very normal. Because we are unique, however, we may find our grief reaction to be more pronounced or less severe than Kubler-Ross's model suggests. Based on such factors as how close you were to the person who died, the comfort you received from your family, or your religious practices.
Hey, Crystal, I just wanted to let you know that Salisha got in.
Okay, good. She can continue after the video.
I think understanding yourself is important because it will help us become better human beings. When you don't take the time to understand yourself and who you are, your sense of individuality weakens. You become easily influenced and pushed into a lifestyle that doesn't represent who you are. Knowing ourselves starts at not accumulating bad karma and ends at realization of who we truly are. It would start at helping us become happier. At the end of the day, I don't think anything would be more valuable than happiness, peace of mind, and eternal harmony. So if we know ourselves better, we will know what is disturbing us and we can then slowly solve some of our problems. In fact, we will know how to react to and adapt to various situations. So self-analysis is a must, be it for daily living or spiritual progress. We will discover that we have in fact many faults within us which we think was only present in others. You will realize that you are slowly stop judging others and just focus on self-improvement. When we get to know ourselves, we get to know the world. We start to see other people as our brothers and sisters. We begin to see life in the way that it is, that we are all truly connected and infinite beings. Knowing yourself is the greatest weapon that you can have in your arsenal. Its power lies in your strength and the confidence gained when you truly know you. Let's just be who we really are. It takes continuous self reflection to get to know who you are. If you are like me, this self reflection is often involuntary and begins to force itself from the deepest cracks of your internal being. But it is also a sign of your internal power, which is at the very least a sign of order. That life is okay the way that it is. Everything that is outside of your own being begins to show itself as it truly is. They are things that you can mold, bend, and adjust accordingly to fit into your reality.
Okay, so after everything that was just discussed, can anyone point out what they learned or what stand out to them? They hearing me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, anybody in the class? You can just point out anything they learned from what we just shared with you all that I did not know before.
Well, I think what the main point is we need to start taking responsibility for our actions, for our decisions, and stop, being victims and
Yeah.
basically do more, you know, do more to to feel in control of our circumstances rather than playing the victim role all the time.
Okay then. Thank you.
So
Anybody else want to add or that's it?
Well, another thing that I took away from this was that you have to know and understand yourself because if you don't, then you can be easily influenced and swayed, and this will not be a reflection of who you are.
Okay then. Thank you. I'll now move on to the next point, which is factors that shape your identity or shape our identity. Several central salient characters have probably made you the person you are and the person you become as you age. Consider how our ethic, racial or
Celicia, could
cultural
you get a little
foundation.
closer to your microphone? You're very soft.
You hear me better?
Much better here, yes.
Okay, I'll start over. Factors that shaped your identity or factors that shaped our identity. Several central, several central salient characteristics have probably made you the person you are and the person you will become as you age. consider how our ethics, racial, or cultural background has made a difference and shaped the way we are. Some questions we can think about are how do you behave, how do you believe or behave differently because you are a man or a woman? How does your age influence your interests and views?
Salisha, you seem to be moving away from your microphone.
Oh, I literally couldn't hear everything because I used my headset.
Okay. Uh, do you have a microphone on your PC or your laptop?
So this my laptop itself, the speakers give trouble. That's why I use my headset.
Okay, make sure that you have the microphone closer to your mouth because right now you're kind of disappearing on us.
Okay, can you clear?
Uh, it's okay, but it could be a little better.
Um, that's what I'm going to say. So everyone can see. And you left me there, right?
Right, here's where it's the best. Whatever you did just now, that was the best.
That's over?
Yeah, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah.
Okay, so continue from the questions to think about. So some questions we can think about how do you believe or behave differently because you are a man or woman? How does your age influence your interests and views? Do you have specific abilities or disabilities that shape your perception or skills? How important is religion in guiding your thinking? Or individuals may do things differently because right, individuals may do things differently because they are male or female, old or young, Irish, Catholic, Jewish, or Muslim. Mapping your personal context must include many elements that contribute to your sense of identity. We believe the capacity for leadership is within each of us. As noted in chapter 2, many observers of leadership agrees that leaders are made, not born, and that everyone has a leader within. So within us is a capacity to make a difference. To recap on this topic, we'll now watch a video.
Hello, this is a Life with Victoria, and if you follow me, you'll be a step closer to living a life of your dream. Now, I know I've been talking a lot about identity and discovering who you are and connecting to your true self. But before you beat yourself about not knowing who you are, I'm here to take the guilt off you today. Is there any things that have contributed to the person that you are at the moment? Those things influence you, whether you like it or not, and whether you admit it or not. You're a product of your past, the people you hung around with, your purpose, and your priority. Funny enough that it's 4 P's, and I'll be calling it the 4 P's episode today. Your past, all of the experiences you've had, and all of the places that you've been, and all the things that have happened to you, the memories, they contribute to how you view the world. Your perspective of the world is shaped by these different things. And while it might seem negligible to some persons or proponents of positive thinking, you can't run away from the things that your past bring into your life. The people that you've hung around with, you know what they say about if you hang around with 4 millionaires, you're going to be the 5th millionaire. The same way, if you hang around with low energy people, you're soon going to be the next low energy person in the room. And if you're always around, depressive thoughts, people who are down, people who are not, forward thinking, before you know, you begin to just give in because that's how the human mind works. It's adaptability. The human mind is very adaptable. Now, also, you want to think around your purpose in life and also your priorities. What are those things that you've always held in high esteem? For some persons, they hold the most valuable things in high esteem, while others tend to give into trivialities. While we have all of these things and we need to begin to think through how to forward match our identity, it's not enough to just know that these things have shaped you. Now, this moment, in this minute, what are you going to do different to make you a better person in another 12 months? What are you going to do different Because in 2 years from today, today would be your past. In this moment, what are the choices you're making? Who are you surrounding yourself with? What are you prioritizing? What are you paying attention to? What are your aspirations? What are your dreams? These are deep questions. And it's only when you spend time with yourself answering these questions that you're going to come up with key answers. I'll leave you one assignment today. Take a pen and a paper, or take your tablet, whatever writing device you use, and ask yourself this question. What are the top 5 things that are most important to me? And who are the top 5 people in my life? When you've done that, you'll find that you'll be on the journey to reshaping your tomorrow. Answer those questions honestly and let me know.
So, just like before, I'll be asking the same question. What's your learning from this topic? What stands out? Anybody? Okay. So, what stands out for me was the questions to ask ourselves, like the ones like how has your sense of spirit, how has your sense of spirituality shaped your worldview, and how do you believe, how do you believe or behave differently because you are a man or woman? I think these questions stand out to me and had me thinking while doing this. So now to move on to the next topic, which is values, beliefs, ethics, and character. Can someone give a definition for any one of these, or what do you think it means? No one? Okay, so I'll proceed. First, we will be looking at our values and beliefs. Among the hardest things to articulate are the values that guides our actions. If our actions and thoughts are mystery to us, we may not have adequately examined our own value system. Beliefs shapes values, which influence thoughts and actions. If you can articulate your values, then you're likely to be aware of the principles and beliefs that serves as your guides. No one process is preferred over others. Your process reflects how you have come to construct meaning from your experience. The discussion of values should always raise the crucial question: whose values and for what purpose? When a person is known for a solid value system, grounded in integrity and authority, or I'll read that over. When a person is known for a solid value system, grounded in integrity and authenticity, others may disagree with the decision, but cannot find fault with the character of the decision maker. So, anybody agree, read, or disagree? Anything? Okay then. So, I think it makes this long. I think that statement have a good point, because when somebody when somebody comes with a strong argument with all the evidence, I think it's hard to reprove them. So now I'll move to character and ethical behavior. Oh, I had a video to show.
Hey there,
So
and
we'll
welcome
watch
back to
that.
the Mind Tribe. Today we're going to talk about a topic that can help you live a more fulfilling life, the difference between values and beliefs. So, what exactly are values and beliefs, and how do they differ? Let's dive a little deeper. What are values? Values are the things that we hold as important and meaningful in our lives. They represent our guiding principles and shape our behavior, decisions, and attitudes. Values can include things like honesty, integrity, respect, compassion, and more. Values are deeply ingrained in us and are often shaped by our upbringing, culture, and life experiences. They are what we prioritize and hold dear in our lives, and they guide us in making important decisions. What are beliefs? Beliefs, on the other hand, are the thoughts and ideas that we hold to be true or real. They can be about anything, from religion and spirituality to politics and social issues. Beliefs can be positive or negative, empowering or limiting. Beliefs can also be subconscious, meaning that we may not even be aware of some of the beliefs that we hold. For example, you may have a limiting belief that you are not good enough to succeed in a particular area of your life, such as your career. This belief may be holding you back without you even realizing it. How do they differ? The main difference between values and beliefs is that values are the guiding principles that shape our behavior and decisions, while beliefs are the thoughts and ideas that we hold to be true or real. Values are what we stand for, while beliefs are what we think or feel about something. Values are a reflection of our inner selves, while beliefs are influenced by external factors such as culture, media, and society. For example, you may hold a belief that success means having a high-paying job and a luxurious lifestyle, but your values may prioritize things like personal growth, meaningful relationships, and giving back to others. Why is it important to distinguish between values and beliefs? Understanding the difference between values and beliefs is important because it can help us live a more authentic and fulfilling life. When we know what our values are, we can align our actions and decisions with them, which can lead to greater satisfaction and happiness. On the other hand, if we confuse our beliefs with our values, we may end up living a life that is not in line with our true desires and priorities. For example, if your values prioritize work-life balance and spending time with loved ones, but your beliefs prioritize working long hours and chasing material success, you may end up feeling unfulfilled and unhappy. How to identify your values and beliefs. To identify your values and beliefs, take some time to reflect on what is truly important to you. Ask yourself questions like, what do I stand for? And what makes me happy? Then, examine your thoughts and beliefs about different areas of your life, such as work, relationships, and personal growth. By doing this, you can gain clarity on what your values and beliefs are and how they are influencing your life. It's important to note that our values and beliefs may change over time as we grow and have new experiences. It's okay to reevaluate them and make adjustments as needed to ensure that we are living a life that aligns with our true desires and priorities. And that's it for today's video on the difference between values and beliefs.
So I know that video was probably a lot, but did anything seem new to you that you did not know before from that video?
Not really. Basically, belief is something that you hold, but it may not be the truth, and you can learn to change those beliefs. Values are something that's a little more inherent. You can change your values. You can decide that you value, you know, you could decide to change that, but it's something a little more to your core, like your religious values, um, etc., etc. Correct?
It all adds up. So now I'll move to character and ethical behavior. Whether frame that, just give me a minute. Okay. Yes. Whether framed as integrity, authenticity, or credibility, the very core of your character is central to sincerely linking with others in the spirit of community to work together, to work toward change. According to Erin Foglerman, trust has been crucial in my relationships with others. If I don't think I can trust someone, then I won't pursue a relationship with a person. I think trust has to be earned through consistency and honesty. In building relationships with others, I try to never lie and always be there for the person. Being faithful to a person breaks down barriers and builds trust. Being trustworthy also makes others feel like you are someone they can follow. Without trust, I don't think a meaningful relationship is possible. A person of character promotes ethical decision making and expects ethical behavior from others. The Josephson Institute of Ethics proposes 6 pillars of characters that are enduring and indispensable to ethical leadership practices, Jones and Lucas. These pillars are trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. I'll just be reading a few to highlight. So, trustworthiness is far more than telling the truth. Being worthy of trust means being honest and demonstrating integrity, keeping promises, and being loyal. It means being known for standing up for your own convictions. Respect. Respect means that you treat others considerably, not that you admire or agree with all their views or behaviors. Being respectful is a commitment to treating others in ways that do not demean or take advantage of them. Then there is fairness. Fairness is working towards an equitable outcome. Being fair means being open-minded and willing to listen and confront your own biases that might influence your decision. Caring. Caring means your awareness of being concerned for each person's well-being and your attention to not being hurtful. Care requires empathy and kindness. Now we'll watch a video on character and ethical behavior.
When a child goes to school, there are plenty of life lessons they'll learn, character and ethics chief among them. They're embedded into every relationship and interaction a student has. But at Columbus Academy, these lessons are very intentional. In fact, it's how they do school.
This is an old school. The school has been shaping the characters of young men and women for over 100 years now.
That is Tim Leet, both a science teacher and the coordinator of ethics and character at Columbus Academy. He says about 7 years ago came a renewed focus to these 2 principles.
And over the course of that time, we realized we're not really talking about a standalone advisory program in character and ethics or some special assembly or a word of the month program. What we're really talking about is how we do school.
And it starts with realizing there is a difference between a person's character and how they may react to a situation.
Some people use those 2 terms interchangeably. I don't. I think of character more as the answer to the question, what kind of person are you? How do you just sort of naturally respond to situations? If you see a kid who needs help in the hallway, something dropped out of her hands, do you respond in a helpful way? People who do, that's just kind of who they are. I think of character as happening more in the gut and ethics happening more in the head.
So let's start with character. How do you incorporate that into a lesson plan?
Character formation is something that happens a little bit more subtly, where ethics is really taught through the curriculum properly. Character is something that is taught through the culture of the school, primarily, through the influence of the important people that young people, kids develop relationships with.
And with an 8-to-1 student to teacher ratio, those close-knit relationships are something they pride themselves on at Academy.
As a small school, one of the luxuries we have is to pay close, good attention to every student. Those kinds of personal relationships are so powerful in how we do school.
And so are the bonds between fellow students. Take their senior kindergarten buddy program. Every student in 12th grade is given a tiny buddy on their first day of school. They do fun activities throughout the year and form lifelong relationships. It's an age-appropriate way to help even the youngest minds build character, in addition to their daily lessons in the classroom.
They work on the, those strong social emotional skills. How do you cooperate? You're not going to set up an ethical dilemma for a 5 or 6 year old, but you are going to talk about what cooperation looks like. You are going to ask that things get shared, that people take turns.
Speaking of ethics, that can be a heavier burden to bear, so the school's focus is with the sophomores, an age able to face more thought-provoking situations. They are required to take the class called Ethics, Identity, and Community, although not for a grade. That's where LEAD poses common teenage dilemmas.
Because what's probably my real motive for hiding the truth? I'm embarrassed, right? In my experience with high school students, one of the classic dilemmas is an issue of maintaining the trust of a friend and staying loyal to a friend, or being honest in a situation that they've been asked about. Kids feel that tension. They want to be loyal and they want to be honest, and in this moment, they don't think they can be both.
So they talk through scenarios like this and find a solution, or maybe a couple of them, knowing that when it comes to ethics, there really isn't one right or wrong answer.
I think the practice, the daily practice, the discipline of thinking about raising your consciousness so that when these moments happen, recognize them for what they are, and you can act out of that best self you want to be, the better you sleep at night.
You can learn so much more about Columbus Academy by heading to their website, columbusacademy.org, or call their admissions office, 614.
So from the presentation so far and this video, what do y'all think shape your ethics and your character? Anybody? Well, from what I discussed so far, I think the points that I read out, which was trustworthiness, respect, and fairness, they all have a part to do with the character, as well as another point, which is responsibility, which is accepting accountability for your own actions and being cautious of the moral and ethical implications of deciding not to act. Being responsible means being accountable, pursuing excellence, and exercising self-restraint. So now that we've come to the end of my part, I'd like to pass it on to Shireen, who will now cover personal style preferences.
All right. So before I go into personal style preference, I'd like to elaborate on self-assessment in enhancing personal understanding and leadership skills. So why is it important? Self-assessment, leaders can recognize behavioral patterns and gain insight into how they manage themselves and their colleagues. According to Audrey K. Hicks, a student at Florida State University, she explains how evaluating her personality impartially has enabled her to identify habits and traits affecting her interactions with others. For example, recognizing her tendency to think out loud as an extrovert has helped her adapt her communication style. Personal style preference. Understanding your values through preferred interactions and decision making helps you understand yourself and explore diversity within groups. Understanding your personality preferences helps explain how you function in the world and how others perceive you. And I think that your personal style should reflect your lifestyle, creativity, and personal interests. Draw the psychological type. Drawing from Carl Jung's theory, the text outlines 4 core functions of personality each represented by opposing orientations. These four core functions include how we relate to the world, perceive the world, make judgments, and make decisions. Jung also includes four pairs of adaptive orientations that are diametrically opposed to each other. These combinations describe where we get our energy, how we gather information from the world, how we prefer to process this information, and how we prefer to make decisions. The four core functions of our personality involve our mode of relating to the world. So extroverts prefer the outer world, thinking out loud and engaging in dialogue. They are sociable and enjoy being around people. Introverts, on the other hand, prefer their inner world, meaning being by themselves. They isolate themselves, their feelings and ideas. They prefer internal reflection and private space, even in crowds. The terms extrovert and introvert are used interchangeably, but they refer to a preferred orientation to the outer or inner world. For example, extroverts like Audrey prefer social interaction and external stimuli, while introverts prefer introspection, or in simple terms, examining one's own thoughts and feelings, and solitude or being isolated from society. So introverts, they prefer to be by themselves, gather their own ideas, their own informations, while extroverts, on the other hand, they like to interact, communicate with others, socialize. So, they're free, they like to express themselves to those around them, while introverts, they just keep to themselves. So, understanding these preferences helps to comprehend how individuals perceive and engage with the world/society. This chapter highlights the importance of accommodating diverse learning styles. Another example is a student government retreat might include pre-reading materials for introverts and intuitors, large group presentations for introverts and thinkers, and small group discussions for introverts and feelers. Recognizing and accommodating different preferences fosters inclusivity and enhances learning outcomes. So when you realize if a person is an introvert or extrovert, then you would know how to approach them and ways in which you can communicate with them. The core functions of personality include perceiving the world, judging and making decisions. Sensing people rely on concrete facts and details, while intuitive people prefer the big picture and anticipate improvement. These differences can lead to misunderstandings and create a wide gulf between people. Judging is a mode of decision making, with those who prefer thinking, using logic and rationality, while those who prefer feeling prefer judgments that account for relationships and human values. Gender differences may also influence these preferences. Decision making is a combination of judging and perceiving preferences. Judging people prefer order and clear beginnings, deadlines and endings, while perceiving type people prefer keeping things open-ended. People with these preferences may seem close-minded or driven, while those with preferences may seem unfocused. Understanding the impact of our preferences and using no preferred strategies is a skill that can be acquired through various methods, such as the Myers-Briggs Type Indicator, or in other words, MBTI, and the Cursory Temperament Sorter. Acquiring these skills can help individuals better understand themselves and others. The MBTI identifies four core functions and helps understand leadership preferences. Research shows 65 to 75% of the general populations are extroverts, with women slightly higher. Introverts dominate in fields like science and teaching, while sensing individuals are 3 times more prevalent. According to Macaulay, his research reveals that 2/3 of men prefer thinking and 2/3 prefer feeling, with female graduate students, engineering students, and business executives preferring thinking approaches. Men in arts, counseling, and health fields prefer feeling preferences. Leaders come from all preferences, but certain patterns may exist in certain careers or fields. The psychological type theory is used in leadership assessment to understand self, others, and relationship dynamics. In that way, you can understand someone and you can understand the way they work, the way they lead. So that is why the psychological type theory, it comes in assessing leaders. So the MBTI score may be related to the text, and it is sometimes inappropriate to assume someone can be identical to their score. Personality preferences are helpful in understanding ourselves and self-exploration. Awareness of these preferences help move towards self-awareness, which leads to building other skills and a wider range of responses in decision-making and relationships. Conflicts may arise from preferences, leading to more understanding ways of relating. Approaches to learning. Leadership focuses on accomplishing or changing something, and understanding the need for change is a learning process. So leadership, it focuses, so if they have a certain task, if they need to change something for the learning process to be better, leaders tend to do that so that it will be more productive at the end. Humans adapt to changing conditions, either imposed or induced. Jungian types, such as personality preferences, can be used to understand complex combinations of goals. Extroverted individuals enjoy group learning, group discussion, and think aloud. So extroverts, again, they enjoy being a part of groups, they enjoy being in discussions, communicating. They value experience and prefer trial and error processes. Introverts, on the other hand, are attentive listeners, enjoy dialogue, and prefer to keep a journal. So instead of introverts being like the extroverts and they go in group discussions, group activities, they prefer to listen and they prefer to keep a journal to jot down their points instead of communicating with those around them. They excel in written assignments and prefer to think before making hasty conclusions. So that is a example of think before you act. Sensing learners prefer details and facts, preferring inductive thinking. They value the history and background of an issue and may jump to conclusions with little information. Inductive learners like the big picture and gather information from diverse sources. Deductive learners, on the other hand, they like to see the big picture and know the outcome, while inductive learners build up to the big picture by assembling parts and evolving conclusions. Understanding the difference in approach can help deductive learners fit examples into the bigger picture. In groups with a predominant learning style, it's important to consider the diverse learning preferences of students. Mismatched learning styles may lead to resistance or rejection of suggestions. In highly diverse groups, it's crucial to offer diverse options and choices to appeal to the diversity within the group. So this chapter, in summary, it discusses self-awareness, the importance of self-awareness, strengths, weaknesses, and values as essential for a person of character. It emphasizes the importance of understanding one's preferred learning style and how others may learn differently. Relational leadership involves examining strengths and weaknesses, developing talent, and maintaining a realistic self-concept. This chapter also reviews basic values and presents models to assess personality and learning preferences. So, with all that was said, I hope that you all learned the difference between extroverts and introverts and how important self-assessment in enhancing personal understanding and leadership is important, and how, if there's miscommunication or anything that might, interrupt or make the group fail, that's the importance. And I hope that you all understood everything that was said. And now I move on to Celicia, who have some activities.
Okay. As we close our chapter, we'll be discussing a few questions. So, first question for you all to answer, is what affirmations do you use to help boost your self-confidence? Do you all have any? One at least? Okay. Well, I guess I can go. So for me, I say I am awesome and I am loved. So I'll say two for me. The next question is, what are two things you consider a talent and how can this help with leadership? So anyone can feel free to answer this question.
I think one of my top talents is that I can easily converse with people. So, in being a leader, you have to have effective communication, and I think that it's easy for me to communicate well and work well with others without having any problems. So that's one for me.
Thank you, Shireen. And the last question is, what type of person do you think you want to be? In the sense of being responsible, caring, yeah. Fairness, how do you think you want people to see you? How do you want to be seen? Okay then, I'll answer this one. So I want to be seen.
Responsible or just
Go
responsible
ahead.
answer.
Say that over.
Say responsible.
I missed it.
Felicia? I'm not sure if we lost Felicia there, but
Yes, I just dropped.
okay.
I will make him repeat it, but
He
once you
said
have heard it,
responsible. He said
okay.
responsible.
All right then. Thank you for your response and thank you everyone who took
Before you
part.
close, Felicia, I just wanted, as we were speaking about affirmations, I'm not sure if anyone remembers the movie The Help. And in that movie, The Help, there was the maid that kept speaking to the little white girl. And she kept telling her, you know, you are, I believe it's you are beautiful, you are brave, you are kind. And I think
I
those are
remember that.
right. Those are powerful affirmations that I think everyone needs to probably incorporate daily. You know, you look at yourself in the mirror, you get up and you give yourself those positive affirmations before you start your day, you know, so that when you walk out your door, you feel empowered to move forward and, you know, go into your day. And I think, yeah, whoever hasn't seen the movie, it's a good movie and you can take a look at it.
Okay, thank you, Crystal. Anybody else want to add? Or that's it?
Before we finish, I'd like to thank everyone
Thank
for
you.
participating, for those who answered the questions, and a special thanks to Mr. Wayne Bisu for giving us this opportunity to present chapter 4 to you all. It was a pleasure and it was fun.
All right, if there are no questions, I'll pause the recording.